You know, we don't have to be a meditator to know that. We don't have to be from a certain religion to know that, or anything, that we have these emotions come up for us. And there's one emotion that I'd kind of like to work with tonight, because it doesn't get as much credit, I think, as it deserves, and that is the emotion of gratitude. Because gratitude it seems to have two different qualities, and maybe more, really. But you know, when I look at gratitude, the thing that comes up is these two elements of surrender and love. You know, love comes up. It's a part of appreciation as well, appreciative joy. And so when we have gratitude for someone or something, or some event, or something that happened in our life, we appreciate it. You know, there's some appreciation there as well. And what this emotion seems to do is kind of wipe out everything else, you know. And lately, I've been working with this program. It's called Mastering Your Emotions. And in that, we're talking a lot about getting the lessons in life and understanding these lessons. And really what we're talking about is this being grateful, have this gratitude for every experience that we have, because every experience contains a lesson. And you know, from one standpoint, I don't want to go into this too deeply because it gets complicated, but from one standpoint, the mundane standpoint, we could say, the mundane look at things, or the worldly view, there is a person here, and we have these experiences. And these experiences, every one of them is a learning tool, that we learn from these things. And so we take in this information, and possibly we could look at it as, you know, the connection to our karma, that there is this karmic connection happening there through these things that we learn. But on the ultimate level, the ultimate realization, the ultimate truth, we could say, there's really nobody here getting these lessons. There's nobody here to accept these lessons. And so it's kind of an oxymoron there in a way, because we come to a point where when we get these lessons and learn these lessons and understand them, it's like we learn how to kind of break the rules. And what I mean by that is that there's I maybe best telling this by example, but there's a guitarist that I used to follow. A lot of you know that I'm a musician, and there's a guitarist by the name of Pat Martino. He's a jazz guitarist, and has a little different approach to guitar. He uses really, really heavy strings and a really fat pick, and he gets this really fat sound when he's playing, and he plays like a monster. I mean, the guy can really play the instrument. And I had an opportunity to meet him one time, and he said that, you know, I asked him about scales, and I said, do you still practice scales? And he said that you come to a point where you have to know the scales, and you have to know all the rules, like the music theory, but it comes to a point in a person's career where you just start playing, and you learn how to break the rules. And it's kind of like that in this understanding of, you know, getting these lessons in life. It's like when we get all these lessons, we understand this. It's kind of like the basic theory, and we can be grateful for every experience that we have. But once we start learning all these lessons, we start getting this wisdom, and not this intellectual knowledge, but this wisdom, like this street smarts, I should say, that we understand that there's really nobody to receive this information. It's like we feel like we're a perceiver, like we're perceiving all these things, but there's really nobody there. And once we spot the perceiver, we are the perceiver seeing the perceived. And I don't want to go much deeper into that. In fact, I would like to even back up and talk a little bit more about being grateful for all of these experiences, all of these things that happen to us. And so on that note, I'd like to do a meditation that is based on gratefulness and being grateful and showing, really having a mind of gratitude for everything, for being alive, for breathing, for the day, for the wind, for the technology. I got 2 cameras going here and a computer and iPad, and I got my phone here. It's just crazy, and I don't need any of these things, but it's working right now. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for these people that are here and people that are online. I could go on and on and on, and the point is that we can all be grateful for these things in life. And if we ever feel that there's something that we don't necessarily have to be grateful for, we can think of the people that are a little bit less fortunate than we are. The people that we might think that, I went to the store today and I can't believe it, they're out of Perrier. I'm so mad. I can't, what a terrible day that they ran out of Perrier. And somebody from any other place in the world, like especially a third world country, of course, would think that we're completely off our rocker, wondering what went wrong, with our society, where we're complaining about not having Perrier or bottled water, where some places don't even have anything close to that, But that's just an example. We have a lot to be grateful for. And what I'd like to do is kind of guide us through a meditation here. And then we can maybe talk about this afterwards and see if anything comes up along the lines of gratefulness and being grateful. So I invite you to make yourself comfortable. Again, thank you for being here, and take a moment and thank yourselves for doing this practice and being here at this time. If you'd like to close your eyes, you're more than welcome to do so. If you prefer to keep your eyes open for any reason, I suggest that you gaze a few feet in front of you. Try to focus on one area. Otherwise, there is an advantage of a little deeper concentration when the eyes are closed. And I've always practiced with my eyes closed. There's a few times I was working with the Zen tradition where I try to keep my eyes open, and it worked, but I found that by closing the eyes, we get an opportunity to experience a nimitta, the the mind sign that can come up prior to deep concentration, and a sign that we can use for a meditation object. So if you're new to meditation, I suggest that you bring your attention to the breath. And if there were 20 people meditating here, that bringing our attention to the breath would be different for probably every person. There would be 20 people treating the breath slightly differently. And so the people that have been meditating for a long time, you can bring your attention to the breath, and you have this place and this method, this sensation maybe in the body that you draw your attention to. And this is your meditation object. If you're new to meditation, I invite you to find the place where you feel the breath the most on the body. And you'll notice that the mind doesn't necessarily want to stay there. It will want to wander off, and that's just because it's done that for years and years and years. And now we want to train the mind a little bit, and it's a little bit stubborn. That's very normal, very natural. So when we focus on the meditation object, the mind will always wander off, and we just want to simply notice that and then bring it back. So even when I'm guiding, and the guiding of a meditation is a fairly new development. There was very little guiding done in the 2,600 years ago. That was not something that people did. It's kind of a new development, which makes meditation a little bit easier by just listening to somebody's voice guiding them through some instructions, or guiding them through something that will take you more into the experience. But after I'm done talking, there will be a period of silence. And this is the deeper aspect of the meditation practice. So again, even while I'm speaking, you can still keep your attention on the breath. It's a little bit like multitasking, perhaps. But we can focus on a sensation while listening quite easily once we get used to it. And so I'm going to ask, in a way, I'm going to ask a few questions. And this is just to kind of conjure up and bring up some ideas of these moments in your life and these times in your life when you've been very grateful, when you had this attitude of gratitude, we could say, and how that has made you feel, and how it can be used as a tool to help us feel more complete in life. It can be used as a tool to primarily eliminate fear or anger. I've heard it said that if we have this gratefulness, this feeling of being grateful, and having this gratitude for these events or these people or these places, that we cannot support and sustain fear and anger at the same time. Either one of them. So we could look at these as prompts in a meditation. I'm just going to ask you to bring your attention to a specific thing, but first I'd like to make sure that you feel very, very comfortable, and I'd like to have you maybe connect the breath with the relaxation of the body. Notice the exhalation of the breath and use that exhalation to really relax any kind of tension or stress that you feel in the body. Imagine that you're breathing right through it with the exhalation of the breath. We're not manipulating or changing the breath, we're just using it as a tool. Breathing very naturally. Without thinking too heavily, without using the cognition to an extent, I just want you to be open with each one of these prompts that I put out there for you. First of all, I'd like to have you think of someone whose company you enjoy. And I want you to be aware of your being grateful for their being, for their existence. Just somebody that's in your life whose company you enjoy being with. This might be a person that you tell them often that you appreciate them, or it might be somebody that you don't tell at all. Haven't had the opportunity to tell them. It could be somebody that you sit with one-on-one, or it could be somebody that you sit with as a group. Maybe, something like this, circumstance like this where you enjoy being with a particular person in a group, or one-on-one. And see how that gratefulness and appreciation kind of wells up inside. And notice that you cannot be angry or fearful at the same time. Somebody whose company you enjoy. Now I'd like to have you bring to mind the best part about today, the best thing that happened to you today. Something that you really feel that you can appreciate. Now, technically, we're alive, we're breathing, we're human, we're living in a pretty good environment, and we can be grateful for many, many moments that happen throughout the day. But what is that one special thing that might have happened, the best part of the day. Notice how that feels within you. Now I'd like to have you still try to be very present and mindful, but I'd like to have you think about a reason that you might be excited for the future. Just remember that you're doing this in the present moment. You're being present, you're here right now, thinking about the future. And what would excite you about the future? Excite you in a beneficial way. One thing we have to be careful about the future is not letting any fear get in the way. And that's where we find fear. It's always based in the future. Now I'd like to have you bring to mind a valuable lesson that you've learned recently. And there could be literally hundreds of them, but something that really stands out for you. A valuable lesson, or a lesson well learned. And keeping in mind that every experience could be a lesson. The more mindful and aware we are, the more lessons that we learn. Now I'd like to have you think of somebody that you admire. It could be somebody that you have talked with. Maybe it's just somebody that you admire that you've seen on the big screen or read about or something. Somebody that you admire and can be grateful that they are a part of your life. Whether it's a very close friend or partner or somebody that you just appreciate their existence. And keeping in mind that person that you admire, I'd like to have you bring your attention now to something beautiful that you've seen, something beautiful that you saw. Just recently, if you were outside, you probably saw something beautiful. If you were inside, you probably saw something beautiful. It's very open for interpretation, right? And notice how we can be appreciative of these things. There's something beautiful that you saw. Of course, this could be a person, place, or a thing. Now, I'd like to have you think in terms of a fun experience that you've had. What might be fun for one person might not be so fun for another. It could be a level of excitement. Maybe just helping another person is fun for you. A fun experience. And so by this time, many of these things are probably crossing over. Maybe a fun experience was something that you did with a particular person. Or maybe that was the best part of the day for you. So many of these could be connected. That's fine. A fun experience could be meditating for an hour in the morning, but for another person, a fun experience might be shopping or talking with a friend. But the main thing is that we become appreciative of those moments so that they're not missed, so that we understand them. Now, I'd like to have you think in terms of an act of kindness that you've witnessed or received. Maybe something happened today, or maybe it was earlier in the week. An act of kindness that you witnessed or received. Did you do an act of kindness recently? Or were you the one to receive this act of kindness? Maybe what comes to mind is some things that you could do as acts of kindness for others. Now, I'd like to have you think of something that I think we can all be very appreciative of, and it's thinking of a person that you can always rely on. A person that you can rely on. If you need help with something, or if you just want to talk with somebody, that person is there. You know that they're there, and that they can be there. And oftentimes it's these people that we take for granted, even though they're so important for us. Someone that you can always rely on. How wonderful. Now I ask you to think of something that you can be proud of. Something that you've done that you can be proud of. Something that you're a part of that you can be proud of. Maybe you're proud to be a U.S. citizen. Maybe you're proud to live in a certain place, but maybe you're proud of something that you've accomplished lately. Maybe your work. Something you've did. Or something that you're working on now. Maybe you're proud of your practice. Maybe a practice of meditation or whatever it might be. Maybe you have fitness goals that you're proud of. Maybe you kicked a bad habit and you're proud of that. Something that you can be proud of. And consequently appreciative of as well. And now if you could bring to mind something that was unexpected, a good thing that happened that was unexpected. Something like a pleasant surprise. An unexpected good thing that happened. And we'll do one more here. Bring to mind an experience that you feel lucky that you've had. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of an experience that you feel very lucky, very fortunate that you've had? Could be anything. Recent or way in the past, doesn't matter. I'd just like to have you focus on that feeling of being appreciative of of that experience. So by now we should really have an opening, kind of like a feeling of an opening of a heart. Partly surrender and partly love and understanding. Just being okay with life for everything that it has dished out. Being appreciative of all these fine things. Very simple. And again, notice how this deters any kind of fear or anger or possibly any other negativity, negative emotions. This is a tool that we can bring to mind anytime we wish. Appreciative joy, or just being grateful for what we have and what we've experienced. Just sit in silence for the next few moments and see how that feels within. And see if it's something that you can bring up at least several times a day on purpose. This feeling of being appreciative and appreciate life just as it is. Try to stay with the breath. Try to maintain that feeling of appreciation within. And all of this without any kind of struggle or any kind of need to hang on to anything. Just openness. Just being there, just showing up. If your attention's not on the breath, bring it there. Take a little deeper than normal inhalation. And remember that this meditation is really based on being grateful, having a heart of gratitude. If you'd like to bring your hands together in front of you, bring your palms together. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. May we have the patience, the courage, and the understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So gratitude really does have a place in everybody's life, and it's a very, very wonderful tool if we want to look at it as a tool. It's a wonderful way to live, period, with a mind of gratitude. And I think we can kind of tell somebody that lives their life that way. I mean, if we're close to them, we certainly can. I mean, that we can tell by their speech, but also by their mannerisms and how they appreciate the small things in life as well as the big things. And we can always be very, very appreciative of other people, but we will also, to be appreciative of material things and places as well. The place that we live, the place that we are in each moment, to be able to take advantage of that.